Alright, now, seeing that there's not much of a story in Cars 2 the video game, I'm actually going to talk about the controls instead. The controls are actually really well done in the game. If you ever played a Mario Kart game, or any kart game for that matter, even like the Sonic game that came out last year, then you know how this would control. You have your button to steer, you have your button to, well not steer, you have your button to drive, you have your button to steer, obviously it's going to be an analog stick, you have your button to drift, and you have your button to shoot power-ups and stuff that you collect throughout the level. And it all works really well. You of course have a jump button in this game because it's Cars 2. You know, the cars are, living, breathing things, so they can do other things that cars don't. They can jump, they can go and turn around and do flips and stuff, and it all controls really well. I'm not going to explain what each button does, but I'm going to say it does work well. Go search up what all the buttons are if you really want to know that bad. Anyway, the controls are really good in the game. Let's go on to the sound. Alright, now the sound in Cars 2 the video game. I will say this about the sound. The voice acting is actually really well done. I'm not sure if it's everybody that was actually in the movies that actually voices the characters in the game. I'm not really sure about that, but I will say this. If it isn't, then they got some real good sound-alikes because they really sound like who they're supposed to be. So the voice acting is actually really good. The sound design itself is exactly what you'd expect from a game called Cars. It's a bunch of revving, a bunch of steering sounds, and it sounds all good. It really does. There's no real glitches in the sound, nothing that sounds out of place or anything. It sounds good. And the soundtrack is also really well done. So overall, I actually really like the sound. Not great, but it is good. There's not much voice acting either, I should say. There's like very little bits here and there because there's not really a story, so there's no real cutscenes. So I should say that. You'll hear bits and pieces of voice acting. So yeah, the sound is still good overall. So let's go on to the graphics. Okay, now the graphics in Cars 2 the video game. Wow, the graphics actually surprised the hell out of me. I went into this thinking it was going to look okay or something. Maybe the cars will look good and everything else looks like crap. Everything in the game actually looks really colorful and really, really nice. The cars themselves are really well modeled, really well animated too, and just all the personality in some of these cars are really, really nice. I really like the way the cars look. Not as good as the movies, of course, but still looks really nice. And the environments also are very colorful, very nice. I really like the environments, and just overall the graphics are just surprising as hell. I'm not going to linger too much on the graphics, but I will say this. I really love the graphics in the game. I thought it was one of the best looking movie games I've seen in a little while. This and Green Lantern really surprising me with movie games. So anyways, let's go on to the gameplay. Alright, now the gameplay for Cars 2 the video game is a kart racing game. If you ever played a kart racing game before, like Mario Kart or that Sonic one that came out last year, it is pretty much like that. It's not really original at all, besides a couple little things like you can actually jump in the game whenever you want, or you can like flip around when you're jumping or something. That's really the only difference between this and everything else. But besides that, it's actually still, even though it's not remarkable or anything, it's still a pretty decent kart game and a really good movie game. I really enjoyed the game, but let's talk about what's in the game. Now, the main mode in the game is called Chrome Missions, which actually hold a bunch of different various kind of races in the game. Of course, you have your regular race, which is pretty much get to point A to point B, try to finish first place, and you have Turbo Boost, so that will help you and stuff. It's your standard stuff, your standard kart racing thing. Try to knock each other off and stuff and try to win. Battle Race is actually different. You do the same thing, except you have weapons, of course, like any other Mario Kart kind of game, where you can pick up weapons like machine guns, rockets, proximity mines, oil slicks, and use them against the opponents and try to become first. There's another mode called Attack, which is kind of like a Road Rage kind of game. If you ever played Burnout 3, there was a mode called Road Rage where it's pretty much you destroy as many cars as you can before time runs out, and each car that you kill actually gives you more time, so you could try to get a high score or something. That was actually a really fun game mode. I really like that one. You also have a Horde type kind of game where it's 5 waves of cars, God, I can't talk, and try to get the highest score you can. It's called Hunter. That was really fun. And a survival mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. You just try to survive. And that's fun. And also you could bring pretty much all of this into multiplayer, a split-screen multiplayer, not online multiplayer. And you can use a whole bunch of different cars and tracks that you unlock throughout the Chrome missions. And you can play with friends right next to you, split screen. That's fun. So overall, I actually really like the game. It is a great movie game and a really good kart racing game. It might be kind of standard, but it is a really good movie game and kart game. So anyway, I'm going to leave the review off at that. I really like the game. I think it's definitely worth a rent, if not maybe a buy when it's like maybe 30 or 40 bucks. There you go. There's my review. Thank you. It's a really good game. And goodbye.